Okay, so something a little different. I had a viewer make a comment, and she can't send me a photo of the situation, but she says she has a broken handle similar to this style. This is a Heywood Wakefield handle, solid wood. They probably cut it on a bandsaw, which, if you're not familiar with the machine, it's a big kind of a ribbon with teeth that goes around two big circles, and its specialty is cutting these curves, which is tough to do on a table saw. Table saw, it goes straight through. They probably actually cut this part on a table saw, and I don't have a great straight edge, but as you can see, this side's kind of flat. This side is actually moving a little bit. It's twisting back away from the bend it's supposed to have. So that is why I'm going to show you this board. Get a 3/4 inch piece of plywood. It can be OSB, so if someone's doing a roofing job and you're on a really tight budget, and just they throw a scrap away from making a roof or construction, just grab it. Ask permission probably, but you don't need a lot of plywood. So anyways, you'll see I've got these 2x4s here. It's a tall handle. I think it's about 1 3/4, 2 inch. And so you'll want 2x4 scraps. And what you want to do is put in a screw, a screw, a screw, a screw, screw, a screw, screw, a screw, screw, and screw, and attach these solidly to the surface. What you want to do is take one of the good handles that this matches and use that to create this form, and then you get it as tight as possible on all sides. The aluminum foil is here because if you're going to do the repair, you're going to need some kind of glue or adhesive, and you don't want to glue this to your plywood. Okay, so here's where the magic happens. Assuming there's an issue, I mean, there's an issue with the glue that's already on the broken piece, from what I understand. What you want to do is you want to take that piece, put it into some hot water, let it soak for a little bit, give it, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, keep checking it, and then keep the water warm. And a lot of glues, unless it's higher end professional glues, if it's like a basic Elmer's wood glue or something like that, chances are it will really soften up and it'll be easy to remove with just that warm water soak. Even some of the professional glues, most of them are like the quick indoor furniture glues. They kind of come loose in warm water after a while. So as far as getting the old glue off, give it some warm water, check on it. If it starts to kind of bend out, squish it into the form when it dries, or when it tries to dry, and hold it together. What you want to do for the repair is, if this is broken right in half and you don't have like a dowel guide or something, or a drill press or anything fancy for making holes, yeah, as long as you have a drill or a friend that does and you can borrow it, what you can do is you can drill a couple holes going this way. So you drill a hole going that way and that way, drill a hole that match as much as possible. So draw your line, try and be as accurate as possible. Obviously, don't drill through the outside of your handle. What you want to do is, if it's a really clean break, you can use clear epoxy. You don't want to use wood glue, because this is a really weak connection, is this end grain to end grain. This is what the wood looks like, and it just soaks in the wood and it doesn't really connect very well. This is what you want to glue wood to. So if you're going to glue something, you go long grain to long grain, you go that way. You never want to go like that, because it will just pop off. That said, so clear off the old glue. Don't use wood glue because it's not going to grab very well. If it's a really clean break, so you can kind of put it together and the crack basically disappears, there's not a lot of chipping or fracturing, you can use something like a clear epoxy, because it's going to be less cleanup. It's going to dry clear. It's going to look kind of like the wood there, and that's an easy way to do it. But chances are there's going to be some breaking or cracking or something, and that's where you use Quikwood. It comes out of the tube, and there's this little disc, and you can see the two tones. You cut off the chunk that you need, so I use a serrated steak knife, a dirty old one, because you don't want to use it with food afterwards. So you cut a piece off, you mix it up. I would wear gloves. One time it gave me this allergic reaction as a teenager. It looked like chicken pox. But you mix it together so it looks like old gum. And I will say this is the standard larger Quikwood. There is a pine colored version of this, which is more yellow, a little lighter. It's probably going to match this better right out of the gate. What you do is, this is the drilling part of it. If you don't have a fancy drill press, that is a drill that's mounted on a pipe, travels down, gives you an accurate hole. If you have an ability to clamp the workpiece to the table, it gets all complicated. You don't have to be that accurate with this, as long as you are supporting the shape. You may want to have a little bit extra with like some painter's tape and something here, so that this joint, when you jam this in there, it's going to hold it together and keep that really tight. But you can use a dowel, and so you can make maybe a smaller dowel than this, but you can make a hole, like I said, 2 holes here and here, there and there, and the corresponding pieces, so that the holes close up together. The better option is just cutting the head off a bolt. So maybe this length, maybe a little bit longer. And so what you're going to have is just some threaded rod. It's a little bit smaller hole, but this is going to be a lot stronger than the wood. So you put that in there and there, and what happens is, or way to approach it is, if you drill a larger hole so you have some wiggle room to adjust this, if you fill it with epoxy or you fill it with the Quikwood, you pack it in there, or actually you wrap the threads, get it in there so it's nice and snug, and there's enough to fill the gaps. But even if there's a little bit of wiggle here, you put it together, keep it squeezed down, and this will fill the gaps and it will act as a glue. And once that's set, you overpack this when you're putting it on there. And so if there are any fractures, just put extra in there, and in about 20 minutes, when this cures, you can take a chisel, or you can take some sandpaper or a file even. Once it's really cured, you'll be able to sand that smooth, and you might end up with a little bit of a ribbon here of just the Quikwood tone. You can, if you have somebody that's a woodworker that can put like little, like a wood stain or something, you can kind of blend that in. But that's a way to repair that, and you will have something that's pretty close in color. If you do there's a place on the East Coast, they have YouTube videos. You can do the original finish, and that will mask the repair. But the important thing is, you get it in there, and if you do hit it kind of warmed up, this form will kind of help it keep its shape rather than maybe relaxing too much, so it changes the shape a lot. But that's what I recommend, is kind of over drilling the hole, covering this so you don't have the head, packing it in there, and then that'll be able to allow you to butt it up. It'll give you a strong connection to keep that handle from coming apart. You sand it down, and it'll just give you like a little light spot, but you will have a handle in one piece. So I hope that answered the question of how to possibly approach that. But the key is going to be to create kind of a jig to hold that handle shape based on another handle off the dresser. So good luck.